So on an average in the UAE, you've got about 3.5 credit cards in your pocket. It's very easy to get a credit card alongside your salary and so many other options that are available and tempting to get those air mile cards and grocery cards and whatnot. But the scary part is that about 70% young earners in here, they revolve on their credit cards. That means they're paying only 5% of what they're supposed to pay and end up paying about 42% annually as interest. So very lucrative for the banks, but imagine what it can do to their pockets.
So we try to kind of
all these tests. I retired, and but thankfully.
With me in the studio is Purvi Munot, who is the CEO of Say, which is a UAE-based tech company that actually has a platform that helps people reach their financial goals. I think that's super interesting, and I know you're going to talk about this throughout the discussion, but before we get started, how are you?
I'm doing great, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
A very exciting topic.
Yes.
Less talked about in this part of the world, and
yes, I agree. Honestly, before we get into it, I want you to tell me more about Say, because I'm really interested in like the sort of platforms you offer users and how you help these users achieve their financial goals.
So we are a fintech app. We are currently based in the DIFC, and we in our last 12 months of operations, we have helped over 50,000 users to get started with their savings journey and ace it. The platform is pretty simple. The purpose of creating this was how do we make savings really simple, effortless, and rewarding for our users, and at the same time tie it to their lifestyles.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a lot of banking products that exist in the market, which help you save, which give you a saving account, which are current accounts in itself. We aim to be the secondary help for the users when they want to budget for the goals that they want to achieve. So you want to go on a holiday, you want to save up for your kids' education. There's a large expense which is coming up, so why don't you start putting them into pockets, and we do the heavy lifting with a whole lot of automation and gamification to keep you on track.
Amazing. I find that fascinating because I think it's one of the hardest things for people to do in life is to save
Certainly.
up, to budget, to always account for the future. And I think a big part of it has to do with the literacy, like the financial literacy that people have these days. And that's the core of our discussion today is financial literacy. And before we get into the discussion, I wanted you to define what financial literacy is and how is a person, like how do you qualify a person financially literate?
So financial literacy can be seen as a combination of two things. One, how well do you understand money? And the second piece is how well are you able to execute the things that you must be to achieve what you want in your life. So while a lot of times we restrict our conversations to you must be knowing how are you spending, how are you supposed to save, the kind of investments that you make. But it is also important to understand that what you should not be doing with your money and how you should be executing it right, not being that FOMO investor or not being that person who just wants to live it up. Both ends are extreme. Right now in the UAE, the rate of savings specifically is at about 3%, which is way lower. Ministry of Finance has this very cool initiative called Saving Awareness Initiative, where they want people to understand their money better. And I'm sure that's where if there's a government level impetus, it is very important for residents in here to be learning about how their finances look like, how should they be executing, the kind of platforms they must be on. And so on an average in the UAE, you've got about 3.5 credit cards in your pocket. It's very easy to get a credit card alongside your salary and so many other options that are available and tempting to get those air mile cards and grocery cards and whatnot. But the scary part is that about 70% young earners in here, they revolve on their credit cards. That means they're paying only 5% of what they're supposed to pay and end up paying about 42% annually as interest. So very lucrative for the banks, but imagine what it can do to their pockets.
Oh my goodness, that's a shocking statistic for me because, I mean, I do have people in my life who are still paying off credit card debt that they've had since 5-6 years ago. And every year it accumulates because there is that interest rate as well. So it is a higher number. And I find that shocking. I find that absolutely shocking.
And alongside that, you've got the options to get more of buy now, pay later, so smaller luxuries. The instant
Exactly.
gratification just comes in there. You all have a car because it's easier to commute in Dubai if you've got a car. So on the auto loan, real estate is on the rise right now, so you've got those mortgages. It is very difficult to squeeze out any extra penny right now if you're not doing your credit right and if you're not planning your finances in a structured manner.
Okay. So you mentioned like understanding their money, and I think that's key. How can someone actually achieve this financial literacy or that notion of understanding your money? How can someone achieve that? I mean, baby steps, but what are some like basic steps that people can do to reach that goal?
Right. So first starts with what are your goals? The moment you are able to define your goals, you're also able to go back and do the math that what should your savings look like, what should your spending look like, and what should be the money that you must be looking at for the future purposes. Now, when we specifically look at spending, that's where understanding truly begins, because that's present.
Mm-hmm.
That's in your control.
Right.
So one is, how are you doing with your money as soon as you get paid? What do you do with it? The second piece is, when you're spending on a monthly basis, how are your spends looking like? Are they a combination of only essentials plus needs and plus some experiences that you want to buy, or is it the extremes that you are spending it on? Are you just burning it away? It's your call. So that kind of a understanding with respect to how you're doing with your money comes in with either Excel spreadsheets, doing the math back, that how it is looking like with a whole lot of financial apps that you have, including Save, where you can connect your bank accounts, find consolidated insights about your spending behavior, what categories are you spending on, and then use those insights so that you can optimize your spends on a daily basis.
Why do you think people find it hard to save or to budget or to stick to a budget? I think because I do this a lot. I'll put a budget for like a trip or a holiday or a weekend away or even an outing, and I will always surpass that budget. Like it's as if it doesn't exist. Why do you think that's difficult for people to
I think
stick to
good
that?
things are always difficult. You want
Yeah.
to lose weight? Yes, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Having a routine is very difficult, and so is being responsible about your money. Today, we live in Dubai, and UAE in general is a consumptive geography. So everyone is coming in here to live up their lives, have fancy cars, a good house, and all the luxuries that are just available to spend on. So amidst that glitz and glam, I'm sure it's very easy to lose control of our finances, and that is what must be avoided. And that's where the mess up starts. I think the next piece is we're driven by two key things. One is FOMO, because everyone around us have got those great lifestyles, and we just want to imitate their Instagrammable lives. But the moment we go a little further in our journey, we realize it's not sustainable, and maybe sometimes it's just too late.
Yeah.
The second piece is, and this is quite prevalent in this part of the world again, is being a FOMO investor, which certainly means that you want to get rich really quick. So you've got money in your hand. You want to skip that entire process of saving and then investing responsibly and just want to trade. You want to buy that next coin. There's a lot of craze, and that's where we keep on being on this spectrum of being extreme spenders or in this race of getting rich pretty quick, and everything in between looks really difficult.
And so you basically everything in between just falls through the cracks, and
Yeah.
it's not sustainable. Another aspect of financial literacy that I feel like is worth mentioning is people who live here but support families home.
Right.
I think it's one of the most difficult situations. I think also because it comes with a lot of guilt. A lot of people that live here feel like they need to send all their money home when really it's not fair and it's not necessary. But I wanted to get your insight on that. Like, how can people do this wisely?
Yeah, so there's no right or wrong answer on those fronts. It's your personal choice and your personal responsibility. But yes, we are living in a world where the cost of living is pretty high. The essentials are not cheap. So you should be in a situation while you are paying for those essentials, you must be setting aside something for your emergencies. Interestingly, in the UAE, there are about 50% people who do not have any emergency savings. So the saving amounts are less than $10,000. So that means you're sitting on something that you cannot sustain for even 3 or 4 months, or lifestyle that you cannot sustain for even 3 or 4 months if something goes wrong. So it is very important that while you're supporting families, it's essential. You must be looking at the buffers that you need in life for your own family in here, and the needs that you're going to have for surviving.
Okay. Some would beg to differ that you have to be earning a certain amount of money or to be of a certain status to be actually able to achieve what you're talking about. Is that true?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because we've got a set of consumers in here which do not draw a lot, and their purpose of being here is to be able to support their families back home. But you don't need a minimum amount to get started.
Okay.
Your needs and wants actually keep on creeping in depending on how much more you earn. So if your essentials are taken care of, even if you're drawing in a scenario where your essentials today cost about 6,000 dirhams, your remaining 4,000 is something that it's your choice. What do you want to do with it? Do you want to buy an experience? Do you want to live a lifestyle? Do you want to spend it on something which is going to build value for you in long term? It's absolutely your choice. You can even start saving or investing with as low as $10. So nothing wronger, right? Interestingly, there is a TikTok challenge which is going on right now, has become really popular, where people have started to put money in envelopes, like start with $1 a day, next day it's $2.
Oh, interesting.
So that until you reach $100 a day, you just keep on doing it. 40 days, good time for building habits. $100, by the time that you reach that amount, you've got 20,000 dirhams saved. And that's something that we've just deployed on the app if you would want to do it digitally. But it's no amount is small. It's about your habit and your motivation to keep doing the right things.
Okay, so me and you are both women, and I think it's something to address. I think when it comes to financial independence and literacy, again, we go back to that buzzword. I think it's, in my opinion, I feel like it's something that women tend to lack, mainly because we have been dependent either on our parents or our spouses. I think there is an increase nowadays, and I think I've seen a lot of women become more independent and, taking control of their lives a bit more. But you still have a lot of women who are independent in their jobs, but maybe not financially. Do you feel like this is an area that women still lack in, or is there an increase in that area?
So there's always a trend where if you see a lot of people in your segment doing the same things, it just makes you feel more comfortable to ask for more. Same is happening in the segment which is women and money. You see more and more women talking about things which is financial independence, and that's where you want a lot of it. It's certainly important because you're earning and you have your own expenses. You want to live a lifestyle which is of your own, obviously not disconnected with your families, but at the same time, you're an equal contributor. So how do you build your own path to wealth as your family builds it, or your male counterpart builds it with their set of money? I think for the longest time, we hadn't made those kind of decisions on your own. If you see your previous generations, while they must be earning the money, the decisions were taken by the male counterpart, right? You can take the decisions of, what necklace do I want to buy? But I think you would have never made a decision where you'd say, this is the real estate that I want to buy, or this is the insurance that I want to buy, without checking with a male counterpart,
right,
or just taking an opinion. So that's where the awareness is, that you can learn on your own, you can deploy your money on your own, and you've got a large support circle in the UAE and otherwise where which supports you to do these things.
So you mentioned, like buying a real estate property or an investment of some sort. Do you feel like there's an increase in the number of women who are actually gaining that independence and making those investments?
Absolutely. Like if you see the recent trends, you would see a lot of real estate transactions are done only by women. And at the same time, you're doing it together with your spouse, right? So there's a larger ownership which is coming in.
Yes.
The only point is how do you also look at beyond real estate, other things where you educate yourself and start deploying your money. I have not seen anyone talking about what insurance should I buy? Do I need an insurance of my own? Would my insurance drive my family's health after I'm gone, right? Why are we not making those kind of conversations really normal? So yeah, there are so many things to change, but it comes with internal ownership and then talking it loud with yourself and with your counterparts as well in the family that let's do it together. That's where the onus is.
Okay. I want to dig deeper into Say, and I want to know more like about the platforms. Like, can you mention specifically what some platforms do and how they help people drive, like how they allow people to achieve those goals? Like, do you have any specific platforms that you can mention and how people can sign up to them, what the process is like and that kind of thing?
Right. So I'd first start with Save because it's quite prominent where it helps users understand their money better. It helps them save by setting up their financial goals and then to be able to spend once you have saved money in a very responsible fashion. We allow our users to be financially literate. So how do you learn more about handling of your money? The second piece is how do we find insights in your spending behavior to save and invest better? And subsequently, how do we make it really easy for you and rewarding for you through a whole lot of automation, gamification, bringing it into milestones so that you just feel excited every time you're doing more and more.
Amazing. Okay, my last question. What's your advice? Just general advice for someone who doesn't know where to start and is earning an adequate amount of money every month, but feels like they, as you said, is one of the 50% of the population that doesn't have an emergency savings or any savings of that matter.
So 3 pieces of advice that come in here. One is set realistic goals for yourself. What do you want to achieve in a year's time frame, 3 years time frame, and subsequently, and those are personal, right? Always start with an emergency fund because it's the easiest thing to do, and that tick off is going to give you a lot of confidence that you can do more and more. The second piece is being responsible about consuming credit. It comes in multiple forms in here with your credit cards, your buy now, pay laters, your mortgages, your auto loans. And it's always easy to overdo it because everyone around you is doing it. So it just looks normalized. So just keep a check that this has to be right, whatever you're consuming. The third piece is just be disciplined. It's your life, and you'd be the winning person if you consume sustainably, you do right things with your money.